You're nothing without me, Evelyn. Remember that. Dominic's words cut deep as I cradle our newborn daughter, Arya. I look down at her innocent face, her tiny fingers wrapped around mine, and I feel a wave of despair wash over me. How did I get here? How did I let myself become so trapped, so helpless? I've always been a strong, independent woman, but Dominic has a way of making me feel small and insignificant. Since Arya's birth, his controlling behavior has escalated to new heights. He dictates my every move, from what I wear to who I can see. He even controls our finances, leaving me completely dependent on during my maternity leave. I'm going out, Dominic announces, grabbing his keys from the counter. I expect dinner to be ready when I get back. I nod silently, not daring to argue. I've learned the hard way that defiance only leads to more pain. As the door slams behind him, I let out a shaky breath and hug Arya closer to my chest. I think back to the early days of our relationship when Dominic seemed like the perfect man. Charming, successful, and attentive, he swept me off my feet. Our whirlwind romance led to a quick marriage, and before I knew it, I was pregnant with Arya. But now, as I sit alone in our lavish apartment, surrounded by all the trappings of wealth, I feel more trapped than ever. Dominic's true colors have emerged, and I'm left wondering how I ever fell for his facade. A sudden cry from Arya jolts me back to the present. I rock her gently, whispering soothing words as I try to calm her. But even as I comfort my daughter, I can feel the weight of Dominic's control bearing down on me. I glance at the clock, realizing I only have a few hours before he returns. I need to start dinner, but the thought of facing another evening of his criticism and verbal abuse makes my stomach churn. As I lay Arya down in her crib, I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. The woman staring back at me is a shell of her former self. Dark circles under her eyes, a forced smile masking the pain. I hardly recognize her, but as I watch Arya drift off to sleep, a flicker of determination sparks within me. I can't let my daughter grow up thinking this is normal, that this is what love looks like. I need to find a way out, not just for myself but for her. I take a deep breath and straighten my shoulders. I may feel trapped and helpless now, but I refuse to let Dominic break me. I will find a way to escape his grasp, to build a better life for Arya and myself. As I head to the kitchen to start dinner, I silently vow to myself that this will be the last meal I cook under Dominic's roof. I don't know how, and I don't know when, but I will find the strength to break free from this nightmare. For Arya's sake and for my own, I have to. As I sit in the darkness of Arya's nursery, my mind drifts back to the beginning of my relationship with Dominic. It all seemed so perfect, like a fairy tale come to life. I was 28, a successful young woman with a promising career when I met him at a charity event. He was 35, charming, and incredibly handsome. I was instantly smitten. Our courtship was a whirlwind of expensive dinners, lavish gifts, and grand gestures. Dominic made me feel like I was the center of his universe. He promised me the world, and I believed every word. "Evelyn, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen," he whispered in my ear as we danced at a gala. "I want to spend the rest of my life making you happy." I melted into his arms, convinced that I had found my soulmate. When he proposed just 3 months later, I didn't hesitate to say yes. Our wedding was a grand affair, with no expense spared. I felt like a princess as I walked down the aisle in my designer gown, Dominic waiting for me at the altar with a smile that could light up the room. "I love you, Evelyn," he said as he slipped the ring on my finger. "I promise to cherish you forever." I believed him with all my heart. We settled into married life, and for a while everything was perfect. Dominic continued to shower me with attention and gifts, and I felt like the luckiest woman in the world. But then, just a few months into our marriage, I discovered I was pregnant. I was overjoyed, but Dominic's reaction was not what I expected. "A baby now?" he asked, his brow furrowed. I thought we agreed to wait a few years. I was taken aback by his response. We had discussed starting a family, but I didn't realize he had such a specific timeline in mind. "I know it's a bit sooner than we planned, but isn't it wonderful news?" I asked, trying to gauge his reaction. Dominic's face softened, and he pulled me into an embrace. "Of course it is, darling. I'm just surprised, that's all. We'll make it work." But as my pregnancy progressed, I began to notice subtle changes in Dominic's behavior. He became more controlling, more possessive. He started questioning my every move, demanding to know where I was and who I was with at all times. I chalked it up to nerves about impending fatherhood and tried to reassure him that everything would be fine. But deep down, a nagging feeling told me that something wasn't right. When Arya was born, Dominic's behavior only intensified. He criticized everything I did, from the way I changed her diaper to the way I held her. He insisted on being present for every feeding, every bath time, every moment of her life. At first, I thought he was just being an attentive father, but as the weeks turned into months, I realized that his attention was more about control than love. "You're doing it wrong," he would snap as I tried to soothe Arya's cries. "Give her to me. I'll show you how it's done." I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells, trying to anticipate his every mood and whim. I was exhausted, both physically and emotionally, but I didn't dare complain. I was afraid of what he might do if I pushed back. Looking back, I can see all the red flags I missed. The way he isolated me from my friends and family, the way he made me feel like I was nothing without him. I was so blinded by love that I couldn't see the truth. But now, as I sit in the darkness, watching my daughter sleep, I know I can't let this continue. I have to find a way out, not just for myself, but for Arya. She deserves a better life than this. I just hope I have the strength to do what needs to be done. Arya's cries pierce the night, and I stumble out of bed, exhausted. It's been weeks since I've had a full night's sleep, and the toll is starting to show. As I enter the nursery, I find Dominic already there, holding our daughter. "I've got this," he says, his voice cold. "Go back to bed." I hesitate, wanting to comfort my own child, but the look in Dominic's eyes tells me not to argue. I retreat to our bedroom, feeling helpless and alone. The next morning, I'm in the kitchen preparing breakfast when Dominic storms in, his face contorted with anger. "Why isn't the laundry done?" he demands, holding up a shirt. "I have a big meeting today, and I need this pressed." I glance at the clock, realizing I've lost track of time while caring for Arya. "I'm sorry, I'll do it right now," I say, reaching for the shirt, but Dominic yanks it away, his eyes narrowing. "You're always making excuses." He sneers. "I work hard to provide for this family, and you can't even handle simple household chores." I feel my cheeks burn with shame and frustration. "I'm doing the best I can," I protest weakly. Dominic scoffs. "Your best isn't good enough. I deserve better than this." He storms out of the kitchen, leaving me fighting back tears. I know I should stand up for myself, but I'm too tired, too beaten down. Later that day, I'm trying to soothe a fussy Arya when the phone rings. It's the bank, informing me that my credit card has been declined. Confused, I hang up and log into our online banking account. What I see makes my blood run cold. Our savings account, the one I thought we were using for Arya's college fund, is nearly empty. Thousands of dollars, gone without a trace. I confront Dominic that evening, holding up the bank statement with shaking hands. "What is this?" I demand. "Where did all our money go?" Dominic barely glances at the paper before shrugging. "I had some expenses come up. Business stuff you wouldn't understand." "Business stuff?" I echo, incredulous. "Dominic, that was our daughter's college fund. How could you just spend it without telling me?" He fixes me with a cold stare. "I don't have to tell you anything. I'm the one who earns the money in this family. I'll spend it how I see fit." I reel back as if slapped. "But we're supposed to be partners," I whisper. "We should make these decisions together." Dominic laughs, a harsh, ugly sound. "Partners? You're nothing without me, Evelyn. I gave you everything. This house, those clothes, that baby. You owe me." His words hit me like a punch to the gut. Is this what our marriage has become? A transaction? A debt to be paid? I turn away, fighting back tears. "I'm going to put Arya to bed," I say, my voice trembling. As I rock my daughter to sleep, I feel a sense of despair wash over me. How did I let things get this bad? How did I become so dependent on a man who treats me like a possession? I think of my own mother, who raised me on her own after my father left. She was so strong, so independent. What would she think of me now, trapped in a marriage with a man who doesn't respect me? I kiss Arya's forehead, feeling a fierce surge of love and protectiveness. I can't let her grow up thinking this is normal. I can't let Dominic's poison infect her too. I may be trapped for now, but I won't let him break me. I'll find a way out, no matter what it takes. For Arya's sake and for my own. I'm at my wit's end when I finally meet best friend Scarlett. We've been friends since college, and she's always been there for me, no matter what. I don't know what to do, I confess, my voice breaking. Dominic is controlling every aspect of my life. I feel like I'm suffocating. Scarlett listens patiently, her brow furrowed with concern. Evelyn, this isn't right, she says gently. He shouldn't be treating you like this. I nod, wiping away tears. I know, but I'm scared, Scarlett. He's threatened to take Arya away from me if I try to leave. Scarlett's eyes widen. He can't do that, she insists. You're Arya's mother. You have rights. She helps me gather evidence of Dominic's deceit and verbal abuse. We take screenshots of the bank statements, documenting the missing funds. I start keeping a journal, writing down every hurtful thing he says to me. Armed with this information, I confront Dominic. We need to talk, I say, my voice shaking but determined. He barely looks up from his phone. Can't it wait? I'm busy. No, it can't wait, I insist. Dominic, I know about the money. I know you've been hiding things from me. At this, he finally meets my gaze, his eyes narrowing. What are you talking about? I hold up the bank statements. You've been spending our savings without telling me. Our daughter's college fund, gone. Dominic scoffs. Is that what this is about? It's just money, Evelyn. I'll make more. It's not just about the money, I say, my voice rising. It's about the lying, the secrets. It's about the way you treat me. He stands up, towering over me. The way I treat you? I give you everything, Evelyn. A beautiful home, a comfortable life. And this is how you repay me? By snooping through my things and making accusations? I take a step back, my heart pounding. I'm not making accusations. I'm telling the truth, and I'm done letting you control me. Dominic's face contorts with rage. You ungrateful bitch, he snarls. If you think you can leave me, think again. I'll make sure you never see Arya again. His words hit me like a slap in the face. You can't do that, I whisper, echoing Scarlett's words. Watch me, he says, his voice cold. I have money, connections. I'll bury you in court. You'll be lucky to get visitation, let alone custody. I feel like I can't breathe. The thought of losing Arya is too much to bear. But then I think of the evidence Scarlett and I have gathered, the bank statements, the journal entries, the recordings of Dominic's threats. I straighten my spine, looking him dead in the eye. I'm not afraid of you anymore, Dominic. I have proof of everything you've done, the lies, the abuse. If you try to take Arya away from me, I'll fight you with everything I have. For a moment, Dominic looks stunned. Then his face twists into an ugly sneer. You think you're so clever, don't you? But you're forgetting one thing. I own you, Evelyn. I own everything, and I'll destroy you before I let you leave me. With that, he storms out of the room, slamming the door behind him. I sink to the floor, my legs shaking. I know this is just the beginning. Dominic won't let me go without a fight, but for the first time in a long time, I feel a flicker of hope. I'm not alone anymore. I have Scarlett, and I have the truth on my side. I'll do whatever it takes to protect my daughter and myself, even if it means going to war with the man I once loved. With Scarlett's help, I begin secretly planning my escape from Dominic's clutches. We meet in quiet coffee shops and secluded parks, always looking over our shoulders for any sign of my husband. You need to start saving money, Scarlett advises. Open a separate bank account, one that Dominic doesn't know about. I nod, jotting down notes in a small, nondescript notebook. I'll start skimming a little bit from the grocery budget each week. He won't notice if I'm careful. Scarlett also helps me document Dominic's abuse. We take photos of the bruises on my arms, the holes he's punched in the walls during his rages. I save every threatening text message, every cruel email. It's during one of these evidence-gathering sessions that I stumble upon a shocking discovery. I'm going through Dominic's email, looking for anything incriminating, when I find a string of messages between him and his secretary, Tessa. At first, I think they're just work-related, but as I read on, my stomach twists with a sickening realization. They're not just colleagues, they're having an affair. I miss you, Tessa writes in one email. Last night was amazing. When can we do it again? Dominic's response is filled with explicit details of their trysts, of the things he wants to do to her. I feel like I'm going to be sick. But even as the betrayal cuts me to the core, I feel a flicker of something else. Hope. If Dominic is cheating on me, that means I have even more leverage against him. I print out the emails with shaking hands, adding them to my growing pile of evidence. Armed with this new information, I finally work up the courage to file for divorce. Scarlett comes with me to the courthouse, holding my hand as I fill out the paperwork. When we return home, Dominic is waiting for us. "Where have you been?" he demands, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. I take a deep breath, squaring my shoulders. "I was filing for divorce," I say, my voice steady. "I'm leaving you, Dominic." For a moment he looks stunned. Then his face contorts with rage. "You can't leave me," he snarls. "I won't let you." He takes a step towards me, his fists clenched, but before he can lay a hand on me, Scarlett steps between us. "Don't you dare touch her," she says, her voice like steel. "We have evidence of everything you've done, the abuse, the cheating. If you come near Evelyn or Arya again, we'll go straight to the police." Dominic's eyes widen as he takes in the folder in Scarlett's hand. "You're bluffing," he says, but I can hear the uncertainty in his voice. "Try me," Scarlett replies, her gaze unwavering. For a long moment, they stare each other down. Then Dominic takes a step back, his face twisting into an ugly sneer. "Fine," he spits. "You want a divorce? You've got it, but don't think for a second that this is over. I'll make your life a living hell, Evelyn. You'll be begging me to take you back." With that, he storms out of the house, slamming the door behind him. I collapse onto the couch, my legs shaking. Scarlett sits beside me, pulling me into a tight hug. "You did it," she whispers. "You're free." But even as relief washes over me, I know that this is just the beginning. Dominic won't let me go without a fight. He'll do everything in his power to make me suffer. But for the first time in years, I feel a glimmer of hope. I've taken the first step towards reclaiming my life, my freedom, and I won't let Dominic break me. Not again. Not ever. The divorce proceedings begin, and I steel myself for the battle ahead. Dominic has hired a high-powered attorney, a shark in an expensive suit, but I have Scarlett by my side and a fierce determination to protect my daughter. Our first meeting is tense, with Dominic glaring at me from across the conference room table. His lawyer, a man with slicked-back hair and a predatory smile, leans forward. "Mrs. Hawthorne," he begins, his voice dripping with condescension. "My client is willing to offer you a generous settlement in exchange for your cooperation in keeping this matter private." I feel a flush of anger rising in my cheeks. "Generous?" I repeat, my voice tight. "You mean hush money, to keep me quiet about the abuse, the cheating." Dominic's lawyer smirks. "Let's not throw around accusations, Mrs. Hawthorne. My client denies any wrongdoing." I lean forward, meeting his gaze head-on. "I have proof," I say, my voice steady. "Emails, text messages, photographs. I'm not afraid to use them." For a moment, the lawyer's smug expression falters. Then he recovers, clearing his throat. "Be that as it may, I think we can all agree that a protracted legal battle is in no one's best interests, especially not your daughter's." At the mention of Arya, I feel a stab of fear. Dominic knows she's my weakness, my Achilles heel. "What do you want?" I ask, my voice tight. Dominic leans forward, his eyes glinting with malice. "Joint custody," he says. "And a gag order. You keep your mouth shut about our marriage, and I'll let you see Arya on weekends." I feel like I've been punched in the gut. The thought of being separated from my daughter, of only seeing her a few days a month, is unbearable. But then I think of the alternative, of Arya growing up in a home filled with anger and violence, of learning that love means pain and fear. I take a deep breath, squaring my shoulders. "No," I say, my voice ringing with conviction. "I won't agree to that. I want full custody, and I want you out of our lives for good." Dominic's face twists with rage. "You can't do that," he snarls. "I'm her father. I have rights." "You lost those rights the first time you raised a hand to me," I say, my voice shaking with anger. "The first time you chose your own selfish desires over your family." I slide a folder across the table, watching as Dominic's lawyer flips through the pages with a growing look of unease. "This is just the beginning," I say, my voice steady. "If you try to fight me on this, I'll make sure the whole world knows what kind of man you really are." For a long moment, Dominic stares at me, his eyes burning with hatred. Then he turns to his lawyer, muttering something under his breath. The lawyer clears his throat, his expression strained. "Perhaps we should take a break," he suggests. "Reconvene at a later date, when emotions aren't running quite so high." I nod, feeling a rush of triumph. I know this is just the first battle in what will likely be a long and brutal war. But for now, I've won. As I leave the conference room, Scarlett falls into step beside me, her hand on my shoulder. "You were amazing in there," she says, her voice filled with pride. "I've never seen you so strong, so fearless." I manage a small smile even as my heart races with adrenaline. "I had to be," I say, "for Arya, for myself." We step out into the bright sunlight, and I take a deep breath of fresh air. It feels like the first time I've been able to breathe freely in years. I know the road ahead will be hard. Dominic won't give up without a fight, and I'll have to be strong, and stronger than I've ever been. But for the first time in a long time, I feel a flicker of hope, a sense that maybe, just maybe, I can build a better life for my daughter and myself. A life free from fear, from pain, a life filled with love and laughter and joy. And I'll fight like hell to make that life a reality. The divorce is finalized, and I'm granted full custody of Arya. Dominic is ordered to pay child support and alimony, a fact that leaves him seething with rage. But even as I celebrate my victory, I know that he won't let this go easily. Dominic is a man who hates to lose, who will stop at nothing to get what he wants. I'm proven right just a few days later, when I'm awoken in the middle of the night by the sound of shattering glass. I bolt out of bed, my heart pounding, and race to Arya's room. She's sleeping peacefully, her little face relaxed in slumber. But as I turn to leave, I catch a glimpse of movement outside her window. It's Dominic, his face twisted with fury. He's holding a baseball bat, the shattered remains of the window at his feet. "You think you've won?" he snarls, his voice slurring with drink. "You think you can just take my daughter away from me?" I feel a rush of fear, followed quickly by anger. "Get out of here, Dominic," I say, my voice shaking. "You're violating the restraining order. I'll call the police." He laughs, a harsh, ugly sound. "Go ahead," he taunts. "Call them. By the time they get here, I'll be long gone, and you'll be left picking up the pieces, just like always." I take a step forward, my fists clenched at my sides. "I'm not afraid of you anymore, Dominic. I'm done letting you control me, letting you hurt me." His eyes narrow, and he takes a step closer, the bat raised threateningly. "You should be afraid," he growls. "I'll make your life a living hell, Evelyn. I'll take Arya away from you, one way or another." But even as he speaks, I feel a sense of calm washing over me. I've spent so long living in fear of this man, letting him dictate my every move, but not anymore. I reach into my pocket, my fingers closing around my phone. "I have proof, Dominic," I say, my voice steady. "Proof of your abuse, your cheating, your illegal business dealings. If you come near me or Arya again, I'll expose everything." For a moment, he looks stunned. Then his face contorts with rage, and he takes another step forward, the bat raised high. But before he can swing, the sound of sirens fills the air. Red and blue lights flash through the broken window, casting an eerie glow over the room. Dominic freezes, his eyes wide with panic. He looks from me to the window, his grip on the bat slackening. "This isn't over," he snarls, backing away. "I'll find a way to make you pay, Evelyn. I swear it." With that, he turns and runs, disappearing into the night just as the police cars screech to a halt outside. I sink to the floor, my legs shaking with relief. Arya stirs in her crib, her little face scrunching up in confusion. "It's okay, baby," I whisper, gathering her into my arms. "Mommy's here. You're safe now." The police take my statement, and I show them the evidence I've gathered against Dominic. They assure me that they'll do everything in their power to keep us safe, to make sure he never comes near us again. But even as I nod and thank them, I know that this is just the beginning. Dominic is a man who doesn't know how to lose, who will stop at nothing to get his revenge. I'll have to be vigilant, always looking over my shoulder, always ready for the next attack. But I'm not alone anymore. I have Scarlett and the support of the law on my side. And most importantly, I have Arya, my beautiful, innocent daughter, who deserves a life free from fear and pain. I'll do whatever it takes to give her that life, to build a future for us that's filled with love and laughter and joy, even if it means facing down the devil himself. 5 years have passed since that fateful night when Dominic shattered our window and threatened to take Arya away from me. In that time, I've worked hard to rebuild my life, to create a safe and happy home for my daughter. I've thrown myself into my career, working my way up the corporate ladder at a prestigious marketing firm. My colleagues admire my tenacity, my ability to think outside the box, and come up with creative solutions to even the toughest challenges. But my greatest achievement is Arya. She's grown into a bright, curious 5-year-old with her father's dark hair and my green eyes. She's the light of my life, the reason I get up every morning and face the world with a smile. We have a little routine, Arya and I. Every morning I make her breakfast and pack her lunch, then walk her to the bus stop for kindergarten. In the evenings we curl up on the couch and read stories together, or have dance parties in the living room. It's a simple life, but it's ours, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. One day, as I'm walking Arya to the bus stop, I bump into a familiar face. It's Liam, a single father who lives down the street. I've seen him around the neighborhood, always with his little boy, Max, in tow. "Evelyn, right?" he says, smiling warmly. "I don't think we've officially met. I'm Liam." I shake his hand, feeling a flutter of something in my chest. "Nice to meet you, Liam. This is my daughter, Arya." Arya waves shyly, hiding behind my leg. Liam crouches down to her level, his eyes twinkling. "Hi there, Arya. I like your backpack. Is that a unicorn?" Arya nods, a tiny smile spreading across her face. "Yeah, unicorns are my favorite." Liam grins, standing back up. "Well, maybe we can all get together for a playdate sometime. Max loves unicorns, too." I find myself nodding, a warm feeling spreading through my chest. "That would be great. Here, let me give you my number." As we exchange numbers, I can't help but feel a spark of something. A connection, a sense of possibility. Over the next few weeks, Liam and I start spending more time together. We take the kids to the park, have picnics in the backyard. He's kind and funny and thoughtful, always ready with a joke or a helping hand. And he's an amazing father. I watch him with Max, the way he listens patiently to his son's endless chatter, the way he gets down on the floor to play with him. It's clear that he loves his boy with every fiber of his being. Slowly but surely, I feel myself falling for him, and for the first time in a long time, I allow myself to imagine a future that's not just about survival, but about happiness. But even as I bask in the glow of new love, I can't shake the feeling that Dominic is still out there, waiting for his chance to strike. And I'm right. One evening, as Liam and I are enjoying a quiet dinner while the kids play in the living room, there's a knock at the door. I open it to find Dominic standing there, his face haggard and his eyes wild. "Evelyn," he says, his voice raspy, "I need to talk to you." I feel a rush of fear, followed quickly by anger. "What are you doing here, Dominic? You know you're not supposed to come near me or Arya." He holds up his hands, his expression pleading. I know, but I had to see you. I've lost everything, Evelyn, my job, my money, even Tessa left me. I have nothing left." For a moment, I feel a flicker of pity, but then I remember all the pain he's caused, all the fear and heartache. "I'm sorry, Dominic," I say, my voice firm, "but that's not my problem anymore. You made your choices, and now you have to live with the consequences." His face twists with rage, and he takes a step forward. "You did this to me, you bitch. You ruined my life." But before he can say another word, Liam is there, stepping between us. "I think you should leave," he says, his voice calm but firm, "before I call the police." Dominic looks from Liam to me, his expression a mix of anger and desperation. But finally he turns and walks away, his shoulders slumped in defeat. As I watch him go, I feel a sense of closure wash over me. I know that he'll always be a part of my past, a shadow that I can never fully escape. But I also know that I'm stronger than he is. I've survived his abuse, his manipulation. I've built a life for myself and my daughter, a life filled with love and joy and possibility. And as I turn back to Liam, to the man who has shown me what true love and partnership can be, I know that I'm finally free. Free to live, to love, to be happy. And that's the greatest revenge of all.